been meeting up to the right house authority doing business.
Recording in progress.
That's part of the house, but it's not called order. Ms. Monique, would you please call the roll?
Yes, sir. Chairman Lowe,
Here.
Commissioner Lindsey,
Here.
Commissioner Jackson,
Here.
Commissioner Anthony,
Here.
Commissioner Peterson. You have a quorum.
We have before you the agenda. Additions, subtractions, modifications.
Motion to approve the agenda as printed.
Been moving properly second. That being, agenda as is. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Chair does reserve the right to move things around the way it's treated. You have the appropriate minutes. Any adjustments? Councilman.
Yeah. Thanks to Ms. Monique for getting our minutes to us.
Take a motion.
Motion to approve the minutes as printed.
We move it properly second for the adoption of the minutes. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? None. I don't have any cards, so Director, you go.
All right, so normally I would ask for Natalia Jackson to come up, but she is out today. So she did provide a report that's in your binder. And Chairman Lowe, last time you asked that she break it down, and she did do that, and that's provided. Yeah. She provided that in the binder, and she's broken down from non-special programs through the PBVs to VASH and so forth.
Just a couple of questions on the mainstream vouchers, and I think there was some discussion as to who actually qualified for the mainstream vouchers. Did we get a clearer definition of that?
Yeah, she was able to get a clear definition of that. And so I think at one point, the understanding, which was incorrect, is that the family had to have a disabled person in the home, but there is an age portion to that, right? They have to be between the ages of 18 and 62. So it's a two-part qualification, disabled and the age range. So that has been cleared up.
What about the issue of formerly incarceration?
So I was sharing this with Chairman Lowe. So far, I've not been able to find that piece, and then Chairman Lowe echoed that as well. He researched it and was not able to find it.
Can't find it in the public notice, can't find it nowhere.
Yet we were led to believe when these were sent out that these would be geared toward the formerly incarcerated.
Yeah, not in the public notice nowhere.
At the 68% utilization, does that mean that we got 156 allocated, 105 leased out? So the allocation, okay. Are there any available for people to apply for? I guess is my question.
You know, what I don't know, and I wish you were here to answer, and I can get back with you on it. I don't know if people have been issued and they're seeking.
Yeah, that's my question.
Yeah, I
Or
know.
if we have some that
Well,
are,
let me qualify that. Even in the public notice, they tell you that should be the first question that should be asked. Whether you're between 18 and 62 and disabled. If you are, then they're supposed to go to Main Street. If not, then they stay with the regular section 8.
Okay.
so again, are we still with vouchers or have all vouchers that are considered mainstream being passed out and people are just out looking?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good question. I did know that I asked her to specify that with the EHBs, but I will ask her to do the same thing with the mainstream, so we'll know for sure if they've been issued and searching or where we actually are.
Yeah, I say that should be the first question that's asked. Probably 18
Oh, yes,
determine that.
yes, we got that.
Yeah,
So-
we got that one.
And then move on to, if it's just there on the Section 8 waiting list, then move on to that.
Yes,
That Main Street question should be the first thing that I ask.
absolutely.
Okay. On the 44% utilization, we got noise in the back. We need to remind people where we are.
We're good.
On the 44% voucher utilization, 96 allocated, 42. See, and I got the breakout there, 20 currently on the waiting list. Yet we're still only at 44% utilization. I'm concerned here, those, if we have unused vouchers, those vouchers are retrieved, right? We
What
lose them.
what are we talking about?
We talking about
Emergency
the emergency housing voucher.
Okay.
96 allocated,
That's correct.
42 leased,
Right?
56 issued and searching,
Look like that's two over.
20 currently on waiting list.
So-
44%
I'm counting
utilization.
98, okay, and 42 are leased and 56 are issued.
So I do know that our waiting list actually has reduced from 20. The last board meeting, we had 2 individuals who were set to expire within the next 30 days.
Right.
And so that 30 days have come and gone since then. So just that waiting list number should have.
Yeah, I'm talking about the numbers.
They'll add up.
Oh,
Yeah,
you're
they
saying
don't
the,
add up. 42 leased and 56 issued. They don't add up.
yeah, and this is one of the things that you talk about is the overissuance.
Mm-hmm.
That practice of doing that just to make sure you get leased up.
Okay,
And
okay.
so sometimes there's a little margin where to overissue just to make sure you get those, hit those numbers.
You were saying, Ms. Zach?
I'm concerned that, again, we lose those vouchers if they're not used, right?
What, emergency housing voucher?
Mm-hmm.
There's a deadline in the public notice.
Okay.
Those that are currently leased and if Congress reauthorizes the funding, they keep those. However, if those, I want to say September 30th, have not been issued, you lose those.
That's my point.
So it's a
That's
dual,
my point.
it's a
That's
dual
my point.
purpose.
So I'm just wondering what type of, that's the loss that I'm talking about.
Right.
Mhm.
Those that are not leased up.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm wondering, what are we doing?
Mhm. Right, so part of the issue was the extension that they got if they weren't able to lease up. And so it was like 150 days right off the bat. But now Natalia has gone back to giving them more of a standard lease-up opportunity, the 120 days. So they can go, because sometimes if you give them so much time, they kind of wait before they actually lease up. Now, one of the things that I did see is that we're supposed to be assisting them in providing support with helping them find a place. And so I did speak with Natalia and a few others about what we can be doing to help expedite that. We do know it's difficult for people to find housing. So we're looking at ways that we can kind of support them, help facilitate that process.
I would love that we don't lose them,
Yeah.
so that we are working with people to help them.
Well, see, not only that, see, HUD has given some incentive with those extra services with the emergency housing vouchers. You get a little extra stipend for having
Mhm.
to go out and paying a down payment. The money is there. We just gotta, get them a spot to move into.
We get more calls from the county than we do from MHA with the emergency vouchers.
Really?
We get more calls from the county, places like People's Trust and other distributors,
Mhm.
people who have those vouchers, than we do from MHA. Mhm.
I didn't know that. So, but I will say, I mean, we've got a waiting list and we're constantly, so if they don't lease up, we're prepared to reissue that, because we're tracking it very closely now, because she really cleaned up this EHV list. At first, honestly, we didn't know where we were, but we're reissuing as soon as the other one expired, and so what I was saying earlier, at first, they would just get all those days. Now they would have to come back and ask for an extension for that
Right.
last 30 to motivate them to go ahead and find a place if you
Right.
can.
And what I've noticed the county does, if that person is on a waiting list, they will extend if they know that we're working with them
Mm-hmm.
to get them placed on the property.
Mhm.
So, like I said, we have a lot more communication with the county.
Yeah,
than we
okay.
do with MHA. I do want to thank Natalia for the breakout that's at the
Yes.
top, how she has given us information that's normally not provided to us in this report. So I'm appreciative for the report.
Anything else?
I don't have anything else on that. Like I said, the report gives me a better picture.
I appreciate it. I mean, that's why I asked the question last month, because it gives some statistical analysis as to where everything is and the breakdown.
And let me make a correction. We
Mhm.
issued 90 days and then have the
30 days.
30-day extension, not 120. Natalia just texted in that correction for me, so she's watching.
Hey, we know, man.
All right, Chairman Lowe, we've got our finance director coming up for the finance report, Ms. Pamela Dunley.
Alright, I see that the budget review is on down the agenda, so I'll get up, say my spiel, and I go sit back down, but I got some things, you got some of that, some back there. And I'm gonna pass these out, and you guys can just kind of overview it. Pass it down, when it's time for that. Not ready yet, Carlos. I guess we can take it. Make sure it's the PowerPoint.
It's 3 steps, 2 steps. Or they're the same. Right.
Okay, and I'm sorry, y'all, I left out the unrestricted amount in my old report. I looked at that, and I was like, so that's the unrestricted amount. So, as of May, we're looking pretty good financially, at a budget standpoint. We're receiving revenue as budgeted, a little bit over in some departments. Of course, Sunset and Central, you know, they're pretty stagnant. There's nothing we can do about it. Because actually, we were, I'll let them get it together. I'm sorry, I passed out a lot of stuff. I meant to bring that before the board meeting. I'm sorry, y'all, I was just trying. Commissioner Lindsay and I met right before the board meeting as well, so. But as I was stating, everyone is doing pretty good as of the month of May. Their cash flowing. So just a quick finance summary. I did submit the 2020 and 2021 FBS. We did get the 2020 back yesterday, and there are some corrections that need to be made. I will resubmit that. I think we have 2 weeks to submit that. And as you know, BKD they won the award for the audit services for 2020, 2021, and 2022. So we will be presenting the resolution for you all to approve that, to continue on with the,
Okay, what resolution?
to approve the audit services.
We already did that.
No, we didn't approve
Yeah,
the resolution.
we approved the contract, we approved them.
Last meeting.
But you scored it and they got it, but what she's saying is it gives the ED the
Oh,
ability
to
to
enter into it.
enter into the
Exactly,
contract.
that's what it states, to
Mhm.
enter into the contract.
Even though we approved them, chose them,
Right.
as the one for the contract. It gives her the permission to go ahead
Sign
and
off
enter
on
that
it.
contract.
Okay.
And see, we couldn't do it last month.
Right.
Yeah, we couldn't do it last month because we didn't know who in the winter
Because
was. We
that
had
follows
scored.
without the contract
See what you mean now?
anyway, but, go ahead.
You look for a fight.
No, I follow the job anyway.
Yeah, but we do it for each.
Yeah, we do it for every contract.
Yeah, for this contract. Okay, all right, here we go. All right.
Okay, so we should have that, contract executed no later than the 1st of next month.
And see, that's what I mean. You gonna sign the contract, but you ain't got no resolution.
No, we didn't sign the
No,
contract.
I'm saying, what she just said,
That's not what she said.
she said first of the month and be ready to go.
The
It
contract,
should be
After we sign,
after we sign the resolution,
sign.
giving her the authority to enter into the contract.
Correct.
So we guess we're gonna do that today.
Yes.
Yes.
We have it ready. I have the resolution ready for you guys.
It's in the packet.
Anything else?
Go ahead.
You ought to quit. You see, I knew better what you did. Come on. All right.
Okay. So anyway, just like I said, everything looks good. Everybody is within budget, net income. And we'll talk about the budget review later on in the meeting. And there's nothing else I have as far as financials, unless you guys have any questions.
I have some questions, but I think it'd probably be better placed in the budget review.
Okay,
Because I do want to know what our projections are.
okay. And it is in the budget.
But it's in here, right?
Yeah, it's in there. Mhm.
So what are you gonna do?
Projections.
When, yeah.
Yeah,
that's
we'll
later
talk
on
about it
down.
in the review.
You
Down
were
here,
gonna do the review?
down here, under new business.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Adios. It's hot, it's the heat.
They definitely rolled together.
I don't know about the heat.
Anyway,
Any questions? Chairman Long?
Well, I saw the current balance on section 8.
Yes,
Was that
sir.
by omission that it was not carried over?
What balance?
Oh, your amount monthly finance report for section 8. The half million and half reserve.
Oh, the reserves?
Mhm.
Did you not see it?
No, on the one that was in the board packet.
Okay, when you say carry over,
Look,
page 10.
what, page 10?
Look what one, where you got the color coded graphics, or half admin and half reserve. Looking at the balance, I don't see a balance in there.
Oh, on that, on May's.
Mhm.
Oh. Okay.
Right there.
It's Alpha.
Yeah, you looking at.
Yeah.
I see what she's behind there. Is she behind?
Yeah, no balance.
Alpha? Yeah, she prepares that one.
Okay.
On your reserve, on May,
You see what I'm talking about?
you
Yeah.
see on the side.
Oh,
Okay.
okay, because I see it.
So we need to redo that number. Okay. Yeah. We'll get that redone for you, Chairman Rowe.
Which would make the total off too, right?
Yeah, they co off too, because I was looking at that balance at the end of that,
Yeah.
and it kind of worries me.
Unless you
Anytime I
got,
see a negative balance, it worries me. And if you look at the bottom, you'll see, keep going.
The,
Come on, come on,
that,
there
the
you go, there you
reserve,
go.
yeah, at the bottom.
There you go.
in-house reserve balance.
Yeah, it's a negative. So she'll correct that and we'll find out what, I mean, actually, in-house, it may be a negative, it may be a positive, but overall, we do know we have about 2 million to use, to expense for housing, landlord payments. have payments. So we'll find out what their true in-house balance is. That's the question.
Well,
Anything else?
Just a point of order, Director, and I don't know if this falls to you or to Tim since the action took place in her department, but we have a new employee that you may want to introduce to the board.
Yes.
So, whoever it falls
I
to.
want you to remain, Travis. Okay.
Yeah.
We have Kerry right out. He's our new procurement manager. And he comes with, I think, like 30 years of state procurement
come on up.
experience.
Come on up.
20.
Here.
Introduced to the board is always a point.
Yes, absolutely, yes. And he has been such a value in the short amount of time that he's been here. He's an expertise on procurement. So he's very familiar with a lot of our procurement policies and procedures. So this is Kerry. And he will be presenting the procurement report next month. I told him I'll just pray to him.
You're not related to Curtis right out, are you?
Yes.
I was thinking that.
Yeah.
I was just thinking that. That's it, right?
That's you?
My second cousin.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, you know everybody.
Yeah.
Curtis, right?
Curtis was good at it, High Street, Martin Luther King, back in the day.
Uh-huh.
We welcome you on behalf of the MHA board, the chairman and members to the MHA household. And if we can be of service to you as from the role that we play as commissioners, we're here to serve.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to working with each and every one of you. Like Tam said, I come to you with 32 years of state government procurement knowledge. I'm looking forward to expounding on that with you guys, hoping to keep us all in compliance with the federal, state, and local government rules and regulations of everything as we go down the road.
Thank you,
That sounds
Lord.
great. I don't like auditors.
You don't see it.
So we're gonna try to work this out and see where we go.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Kerry.
Welcome aboard.
Like your shoes.
Okay, back to page 10 again.
Okay.
So the negative 69,000 represents in April, we had a negative balance.
Is that the money that was pulled back from,
Say again?
was that the money that was,
No, that's
Yeah.
separate.
That's separate.
It was about $2 million that HUD recaptured because we're not utilized.
Gotcha.
That's totally separate.
2 million? Oh, 2 million?
No, he's talking about what's on the finance report, but what Commissioner
but
Anthony
it
was referring
wasn't,
to is.
it wasn't 2 million. No, it was 60, was it 60?
Well, it's actually,
What, did they recapture? it?
Uh-huh.
Here recently?
Here recently.
Yeah.
Recently.
But that recapturing doesn't have anything to do
Oh.
with
This
this.
right?
Yeah, it doesn't have anything to do with that. That's just money that they hold in hand.
that, I understand, we are expecting to get it.
Once our
Yeah, I
utilization
got
rate
you.
goes
Okay, all
up,
right.
and we have a
Okay, I see.
need for it,
Okay.
and HUD will release it.
Thank you.
Okay.
But until then, until we get that utilization rate up,
It's
HUD gonna hold on to
And
it.
that's an issue that we need to address ASAP, on
HUD
how
gonna
we
hold on
gonna do
to
that.
it.
Well, utilization as in lease-up, as in vouchers, which also will impact the mainstream, as well as our relationship with the towers and everybody else
Yep, yep,
in getting the lease-ups done.
Yeah, because they use the totality of the number of vouchers that we had to include any project-based vouchers as well as the regular Section 8.
So when we're looking at the 44% or 48%,
Yeah,
those are the
that's-
impactors. And again, we know that there's a housing crisis that is going on out there, and that people have weights past debt that sometimes can get them unaccepted, because now that landlords and everybody else can be selective about who they choose to lease to, it puts those that we serve in a tough area. But we would hope that through some strategic planning.
That's exactly where I was trying to get to.
Yeah.
With that. So what, do we have a next step for it?
Staffing?
You
I
think that's the
mean,
answer?
absolutely.
Yeah.
It is. I mean,
What
you
is
can-
the staff number there now?
So
The
we've got,
HCB.
yeah, it's our ACB. So I've got their names with their caseloads. So we've got, well, we just lost one, so now we have 1, 2, 5, 6, 7. So we're at 7.
And the caseload.
And the
And so-
recommendation from HUD for the amount of voucher,
Per, yeah.
the vouchers that we receive is what?
So really, when you read the recommendations, they really allow housing authorities to make that determination based off their caseload and their own needs. There is no set number formula. So, no, that discretion is allowed at the PHA. But I mean, I can tell you, like, we've got one case worker with 577.
That's how many.
It's
But,
just, and so,
but that's 577 people that you may talk to in a month. It's not all 577 people you're gonna talk to
That's
in one
five.
day.
Right.
Okay,
And-
so that's the number of folk, of vouchers or people she might have contact with over the entire month.
okay, and so, and there's one with the PBBs, 831, you know? You know, at some point, even if you know what to do strategically, you have to have the human capital to do it. And I can tell you where we are now, we're reactive, just reacting to the phone calls, the needs, and they're not so clean, cut and dry. A lot of times, the callers and the residents that we serve, they have issues beyond housing, and you get all of that. And so, staffing has to be a part of the strategy, particularly as we anticipate the training needs, when CHC gets these towers, and being prepared for them to be able to process PBVs as well. Breaking away from training with a caseload like this, it's just, it's very difficult, if not impossible.
And I'm sure that other programs and other things that need to come out of Section 8 are also being neglected, like our
Yes.
FSS and other programs that
Yes.
might need to fit. I think that since we don't run the day-to-day operation, but my thoughts would be, is that there would be a look-see as to how time is actually managed.
How what?
How time is actually managed in the organization. And there does come a recommendation as to what is the workable amount of caseloads that each person should have. And that presentation be made back to the board.
Okay, that sounds really good.
Because we do know in all cases, whereas HUD does give a recommendation, they also provide a waiver if in case you need to go past whatever their recommendation is.
And to piggyback off that was something Commissioner Liz and I kind of spoke on today. Because as I told you, we're actually spending less, which is good. That's good. Because that means we're monitoring what we're doing. But we talked, is it effective? You know, you can save money in salaries and reduce the staff, but what's the output? So those are some things that him and I were discussing.
But when you forecast what your needs are,
Mm-hmm.
you have to forecast how the money is going to come in to pay for it.
That's right.
And what we've been missing is that plan for new income streams. If you run your hand in your pocket and you got 6 cents, and what you're trying to do costs 25, I don't care how many times you run your hand in your pocket, you still got 6 cents. The plan has to be to move from 6 cents to 25 to be able to afford what it is that you want. So in any situation without an implementation, a plan, a strategy, and an implementation to increase the income, you stop. It's that simple. Because certainly, as the board being responsible for the viability of the agency, and the fiduciary responsibility, we're not gonna sit here and let you bust the budget.
We're running into the budget.
Well, I'm just saying, I mean,
Because
you asked that question, you know.
Yeah,
if you don't bring it
I
up-
just kind of piggybacked off
Yeah,
that, but
but
yeah.
I'm just
it's in
saying,
the
when you
budget.
start talking about gains, that needs to be a look-see at the income of what we're doing. Because, I mean, you're gonna lose income by the end of the year because of the red bills. And that's why I'm asking you about forecast, because there has to be something in this review that tells us how you're gonna replace, grow, and do some other things.
I have some ideas, but,
Right.
yeah.
So we know that the situation is here, that we have to increase income. We have
Yes,
to-
sir.
We have to do that.
10 years ago.
Right. In addition to that, we need to look at how the staff, what are they producing, what are they doing? If someone has 500-600 caseload, can you actually manage that? If you see, what is that, in 20 days, that's still a considerable amount. You got to follow up on the person that you saw yesterday. You know, so you're sort of chasing your tail, you know.
But the question,
But that's what we need to look at. I mean, those are two issues that has to be addressed immediately for the viability of this organization.
Absolutely. That is correct, yes.
and how are we using technology
Yeah.
to lighten the load?
Yeah.
To lighten the load and to quickly, because I know there was a fight about the kiosks. And the kiosks, of course, lighten the load.
Should, yeah, assist.
So, there's a couple things that has to be put into consideration before we start looking at adding more bodies.
Right.
What are we
With-
doing
With
technology?
the bodies that we've got.
Yeah.
Yeah, are we
Technology.
producing the way that we see that they should be? Speaking of kiosks.
Oh, speaking of kiosks, okay. So, jumping down to tech report, so we have
Okay.
kiosks here. They are, you probably didn't see it when you walked in because they're kind of in the cut over to that little, where that little small office is. So as you leave, we take a break.
What are you doing?
Fast,
We'll be back.
Yeah.
A sidebar.
That's right. Speaking of efficiency, right? So, we just had cables dropped so that, and Carlos is here because when I started speaking IT language, I really showed that this is my weak area. But the cables have been dropped, that we've already cut them on, forms have been uploaded. There are a few more documents that the company have sent that I have to get back by June 30th. But in July, we should be going full and operational. So they have all of our main documents, now they're in the phase of where they want some supplement documents. And so, yeah, they are here and tested. So we're really
That's a
looking
part
forward to the
of the
efficiency.
plan in order to,
Yes.
do something.
Absolutely. And what we're really hoping to do, and I appreciate your ask on that, because that's what I want to deliver is a presentation on currently where we are in terms of output, productivity, and desired outcomes, more importantly, like what are we going to need to have to even meet the needs in the future when we get these towers back. We've got to get trained on PVV, how to process those vouchers, because that's what they'll be when CHC gets those towers. Several units coming on board. So, yeah, we've been looking at all that, and I know I've had some conversation with Chairman Lowe, so maybe it wasn't good to have it at this meeting, but I can certainly have it for the next one or before, you know.
and you remember the committee when you said that? I'm just saying.
You know,
Yes, I do. I mean, it's just some issues that I think that that we should talk about. But we're gonna talk about it in the budget review. Is that correct? Okay, because I wanted to give you something on COCC, but we'll talk about it. I'm sorry, thank you.
Do you want to do procurement, or you just want to?
Okay, well, if their board's done with finance, you can slide into procurement, but I let the chairman, so he's got some questions.
Go ahead.
Uh-oh. You said go ahead, Chairman?
Go ahead.
To procurement, okay, go ahead to procurement, Tamara.
Oh, she's
okay.
passing out the
We
new
have some
update.
corrections here.
It should be a negative now, right? It should be a negative.
It's not,
I do it in Excel.
what you mean is,
One more.
I mean, the balance comes out to the same, I just didn't put it in.
It should be.
it should be
I'm
the
just
same.
it's the same. I
Oh.
originally do it in Excel.
Okay.
And it just left this out. This
Right,
is, the
right.
total is,
I typed those in.
correct, but.
Correct. If you-
Yeah.
So let me ask you, how are we gonna get rid of this negative 14,000? Or is that one of those, HUD screwy rules in how they apply funds? Well, the negative, it's not actually a negative.
Negative
14,000.
14,020, you know, the in-house reserve.
You know,
Reserve balance.
we're,
Oh,
It's the same.
we do a request to HUD
And you just hadn't done it yet.
after,
Okay.
after the request to
Right,
HUD.
that HUD has,
And say,
okay.
hey, we need something at $2 million.
Yeah. And one of those corporate rules.
Okay. Okay.
All right.
Yeah, they dish it out to us, so, as we need it.
Yeah, but the thing is, even though you requested, HUD's still gonna do their analysis.
Exactly,
That's whether or not, you may not get it.
yes, because then everything needs to match with what they have.
Right.
Yes, so you're absolutely right.
With it?
No, I'm good.
All right, you move right along.
Okay, procurement, Tamara, you're still up.
Okay. This month,
Carrie, this will be next month.
okay. Well, it's not, okay, as far as the make-ready services, you guys did approve the resolution. We are just waiting for 2 of the vendors to send back their signed contract. And then those will be complete. The audit, as we spoke on earlier, we just need to get the resolution and we'll be ready to execute that contract as well.
Okay.
Now, the real estate broker, we only received one, so we solicited it back out last
Wow, this will
Friday.
be the third time we just sent it back out.
Because we want to see if we can at least get one.
I mean, why not have that conversation across the street? Look, Mr. Landecker, we sent this thing out 3 times, on one person has applied, how come we can't move on that?
As a sole source.
No, it's not actually.
It's
sole
no
source.
source.
That's what I'm saying.
It's not sole source.
So what are you asking?
The question is, this person took the time out to fill out the paperwork, play by the rules, and they were the only one who did it.
Well, we have a meeting with Mr. Landecker, and you can ask him yourself.
Well, I will,
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, it
but I'm saying why
closes.
we put it back out for the third time.
Well, it closes on the
I mean, even
24th.
then, one person may come back,
Right.
same way, that one person may come back.
And
Cover-
that person
the
has
cover
that date
basis.
right now, as of right now, that's what we have. It
Okay.
closes next Friday. So next Friday, if there's no response, we'll move on to the next step. The upcoming contracts that will be ending, and we will start our 90-day due diligence, is the A&Es. And that evaluation is going to be a little tricky because we don't really have anyone in-house that can truly evaluate the services that were rendered. So I guess I'm coming to
Are we,
the board asking
what
if you guys.
services are we talking about?
We talk-
A&E.
No,
Architects.
within A&E, what services are we talking about?
Well, whatever contracts that were let, that they were
I mean,
participating.
are we talking structural engineering? Are we talking landscaping? Are we
No.
talking
No.
building materials? What specific are we talking about?
We're talking construction and architectural design. We're talking Pure Ford, Ledford, SCM, Wright Group, and Woods Group. That's what we're talking about.
Okay.
We're talking about pure architectural and engineering.
you guys have any recommendations on the evaluation process of that, because we all are kind of new to our positions and we're not familiar.
Well, we're still engaged with some of these because of projects that are going on dealing with Ray.
Right.
And so they are at the table with the entire board at some point throughout it, well, and with staff because of their interactions with us. So there is some grading points from where we sit based on our interactions with them in negotiation and as part of the plan. So I think that there will be something that, information that the PD, you, and the chairman could bring to that type of evaluation.
Yeah, but it shouldn't be, I know some of those contracts are our responsibility. And I don't know if it would be a fair assessment to have staff do that when they're ours.
Which ones would you consider only hours?
Well, I mean, with the A&E, I mean, we handle most of that, as well as the auditing. That's our responsibility.
I guess I was talking about the engagement, the actual engagement of
Yeah.
who's involved in dealing with those individuals.
The fact gathering, the data analysis, I mean, that comes where we're trying to bring forward. I'm saying we as a board, and I guess, having a meeting of the evaluators on, would have that conversation and that evaluation.
I was thinking the exact same thing.
I think that it would also be an involvement of the ED as part of the
Yeah,
evaluation.
part of the evaluation,
Yeah, as
right,
part of the
right.
evaluation part, which is exactly what I said.
Okay, we settled. Got evaluators. It's on record. My deal, that was easy. Thank
That's
you.
how we deal with pushback.
Clarification.
I got the same committee that I asked. I mean, did I not give an answer? Okay, that's all I was trying to do.
So we'll be presenting those. Not this board meeting.
Well,
Yeah, because we're starting a 90-day. Okay, that's right. We're starting a
they'll be
90-day.
included in the
You
board.
will have it next board meeting, the evaluation score sheets.
Okay.
Are you okay with that, Chairman?
Go ahead.
Tell me now,
Go ahead.
because I want it right. Is that? Okay, okay.
Go ahead.
Anything else? Till I see you guys later.
Anybody got anything else? No, sir. All right, move on.
Okay.
Okay, moving along, Mr. Chairman, like I said, legal update. So, no additional updates for declaration of trust. I know the last issue has been questions about the dollars to do all this, I guess, extensive title search. But apparently there's no dollars that will be coming our way for that piece. So Ms. Johnson will proceed with ordering title searches for the properties. But there is some updates that legal counsel, Sylvester Smith specifically, sent me this morning. One for the Pinnacle Strategy Group versus MHA Board and Chairman Lowe. You might remember this is a breach of contract with Leon Jones. So legal counsel has filed a motion to dismiss the case and is presently awaiting a hearing date from the court. Counsel expects that the complaint suing Chairman Lowe in his individual capacity will be dismissed, so he feels pretty confident about that. In terms of the Victor Bogan and J. Renee Henley versus MHA, this is the fallen tree case, you know, and this is the case where it turns out it's not our property, but here's what counsel sent. Discovery is set to begin this month. Attorney will file for summary judgment upon receiving the documentation that MHA is not the property owner. Records reflecting the actual owner has been forwarded to legal counsel. I certainly have forwarded it to the carrier, but he now has it as well. So summary judgment with that, establishing the actual owner which is not us, will be presented for summary judgment. The Bill versus MHA jury trial has been set for September 21, 2022 in the U.S. District Court, Eastern District of Arkansas. This one, I got a little bit of history on this one. This was the homes of Brennan Mountain, I believe, claims of mold or something, anyway, in the apartment. And so for Nash versus MHA, the last update, counsel, Rebecca said she was waiting on the judge's ruling. I reached out to her, but have not received an update on that yet. So I'm sure she'll be chiming in soon. At least I hope so. In terms of the one-call service group, again, this is the issue with ITEX where suit for services provided by ITEX, and so counsel has provided relevant information to the plaintiff that we hope will demonstrate that MHA is not the correct party to sue for all those repairs and things that was made. And at this point, counsel is waiting for the plaintiff to review all of the information that was presented or given over to them. And then in terms of the Jarman versus MHA, no update from Rebecca quite yet. Again, I did reach out to her and we're waiting to hear back and see if we had movement or what actions have been taken around that since the last report.
Director, and I put this also to the board, is it appropriate to add to the legal side the OIG investigation that the board has made inquiry for?
I mean, we can, but we know with this last OIG situation that they were, if not slow but deliberately, not responding. I mean, I have no problem with it, but that's the practice that they have shown, that even if we do ask, they're not responding.
But what I'm saying is it be added to the report,
Yeah, we'll have
that
it.
that it is existing.
Yeah, not a problem.
Ongoing, yes.
It's ongoing.
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Okay, noted.
Okay.
I will add that to the report. Moving forward, and speaking of adding to the report, board members, you've asked that I always state that you all maintain your position that there will be no settlements with former employee litigants. That is over, so. And I will add that. No further updates from legal report.
And last but not least, development.
Well, what about this then?
That's a quick question I had asked one of
She asked, I bring
Yeah.
it, yes.
And let me go ahead and talk about this, since this has to do with Harmony Clinic.
Okay.
There are bills that are being, things that has to do with repair. Right now, they've got a major plumbing issue, and they want to refer it to MHA. And so I asked, and they're saying that the fact that MHA is the responsible body is in the lease. So I wanted us to review the lease to see what the language of the lease is. If we are really going to deal with the property of Harmony Grove, Roosevelt, 201 Roosevelt, at some point, this board has to take a position as to whether or not they want to ask them to leave the property, and whether or not because we want to sell the property or whatever next steps it is that the board decides to take when it comes to that property. There has to be a motion or a plan or something put into place so that we move forward on that property. They get complaints, and every time something happens down there, they want to say, oh, it's MHA's fault. But they are the ones in the property when there was a code enforcement issue down there. Oh, it's MHA's fault, and they're the ones on the property. So at some point, the board or the board designee needs to take a look at this situation so we can move forward on it as to what our next steps are, because this plumbing issue is, according to the company that has been out there and contacted Melvin, it's a major piece. So,
Well, I say we do the same thing to them that we did with ITEC. If you don't want to fix up your property, then leave.
well, like I said, whatever legal steps that we need to take,
Right. Because the lease clearly states you're responsible for the maintenance and upkeep of the building. We ain't got nothing to do with that, we lease it to you.
And it's plainly stated, and they keep
Right, it's
saying,
plainly stated.
they keep stating, and so I had asked the ED to pull the lease,
Mhm.
and maybe they need to, they
Okay.
sent another copy of the lease, but I'm glad you have it because Melvin used to get those copies.
Okay.
And if they don't want to fix it up, hey, y'all got to go.
Yeah. But we will not be paying it.
But do it forward though, in the meantime, between time, and whether we need a motion or not, but I've been saying this, we need to start the disposition process of that piece of property. Ain't nothing we gonna do with it. So, I mean, that's just my thoughts, and my thoughts have been like that for some time.
Yeah, I think we all.
Have agreed that that's the next step.
Yeah, that is something.
So that process needs to be started.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
But I will make sure that we attach.
Copy of that
Mhm.
to the,
And like I said, the reason we're involved is because it's something that, because Melvin has always been the maintenance contact, that they probably don't even know where this is. But we will make sure we will make sure that they
To make a
get.
suggestion that Director Benedicto write that letter.
Yes,
I
sir.
want the letter to come from the board.
I think it needs to come from, well, it was signed off by Shelley,
Yep.
so it probably needs to come from you.
Okay.
And in terms of the disposition process, so are you directing me to begin those proceedings for that? Or the process for that?
Inquiry, call SAC, call Chicago,
Mhm.
what we need to do to dispose of that property.
But in the meantime, they need a letter from the ED citing the
responsibilities.
responsibilities as far as the maintenance.
Contract.
Those
Mhm.
repairs.
Per the contract.
Mhm. Okay. All right.
Development.
Development, well, Sunset, Redfield. Got some questions about a July date, still in process. I hesitate to say whenever we're gonna close, because it always like it gets pushed back 3 months just for saying it. But anyway, yeah, we're just still in process with that, and, got some questions.
Can I take a point of privilege here? Since we are talking about development, that we can have Mr. Jackson come up and speak. That's okay with the rest of my colleagues?
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Well, I'll try to be as succinct as I can. Just kind of educate you. I know we've, commissioners, you guys are no stranger to the work that we're doing right now. It's been kind of going back and forth, but for the benefit of everyone that's here today and those that are online. Our firm, the Design Group, is working closely with UNJ and HHAC's contracting development partner, Gorman, to try to do everything we can in our due diligence to ensure that we have a broad swath of representation of organizations in Central Arkansas, particularly Little Rock and metro area, who potentially can participate in the process and the progress that we have going on in the development of Sunset Terrace project. And assessing a number of weeks ago, under the leadership of this board, our firm and Gorman really did a deep dive into what is the composition of the current contractor pool. Now, on the surface, the numbers look really, really good. We had, from a national perspective, well over 4,000 contracts in the database who had initially responded with some interest in the project. We then asked Gorman to drill that down to statewide and then to drill that down to Central Arkansas. We know that based on these resources and the funding source and the direction of this board, we wanted to make sure that contractors who lived in the local community, certainly within Central Arkansas, had a fair chance in participating in this project to ensure that those dollars are being invested in the local community. In diving a little deeper, we realized that overall contractors, that composition, whether it's identified by geographically where their firm is located in Central Arkansas, or if they were minority owned and MBE, there was some underrepresentation, in particular in a number of particular trades. So we decided to launch a promotional blitz starting June 8th. The channels we decided to use was consumer radio. One might argue why consumer radio? Because the old paradigm was place a print ad in a newspaper, contact the contractors you already know, and for some odd reason, you were expecting different results. You would get the same players that would show up that were already in the queue, or you would get those persons who were still reading the paper. Now, for all those who work for the paper in the room, certainly want to appreciate that that medium is still viable. However, the readership on daily newspapers has declined significantly, and we have seen a diminishing rate of return in terms of placing ads in the local daily and getting a response from contractors. So we opted to use consumer radio, in particular for total market, which identified KIPR and Kissin FM. Those two radio stations kind of vacillate based on day parts of being number one on all adults in the market. It gave us a great opportunity to speak to African-American leadership, or listenership on KIPR, and non-minority white listenership on Kissin. Now the reality is neither one of those stations are 100% any race or ethnicity, so there is a non-minority listenership on KIPR, and there are African Americans who are listening to country formatted radio. So we know we got good reach. We then layered that with the number one station in the market for all adults 35 plus, since the overwhelming majority of most owners in the contracting community are 35 and older. So we wanted to make sure that we had some reach there, and that was KOKY. We then layered it again to say, but for those contractors who might be younger than 35, we also integrated Alice 107.7, which is a top 40 formatted radio station. So we used those 4 stations to push out 2 60-second radio units that pretty much in our business what we would call a donut. It opened up kind of speaking to the specifics of what was the project, why it was so important for contractors to participate, some of the incentives that the project has baked in to mitigate some of the hurdles that most contractors have, and we all know it's funding. Funding to be funded, funding to finance the project. So we highlighted the idea that there was going to be umbrella funding. We also highlighted that there was going to be bridge loans for financing payroll. We also then layered the radio buy with updating the redevelopment of the rock digital assets. So I hope you can see that. And I'll step in. Oh, well, thank you, sir. Zooming in for those who are watching. But we also integrated an electronic evite or electronic invitation into the mix. We use that electronic invitation to, again, speak to all solo tradesmen. Why solo tradesmen? Because in reality, we had a decent representation of full-service contractors. The problem with that is, because in this particular project, you can bid on single trades or multiple trades, most GCs would bid on everything, and it would cannibalize the solo tradesmen. So we wanted to make sure that we help the solo tradesmen understand that this is a project that you too can participate, and we are mindful that you may not have the bandwidth or the scale in terms of employees to take on multiple trades, but you could bid on a single trade. That evite was distributed to all of the contractors that our firm has in our database that we captured from our initial outreach about a year ago for redevelopment of rock. It also was distributed to the database that Gordon has in their network, knowing that a lot of those contractors probably had already participated, but within that database, there's still going to be a small subset of folks who just don't think this project is for them for a number of reasons. It's too big, or I'm not gonna get a chance. So this new artwork allows them to say, oh, no, they are thinking about the small guy. We also are using this Evite to distribute to local community listservs as well. So for those who are familiar with today's communique with Kenya Eddings, she has a pretty aggressive list. This is being emailed out 3 times a week. We also have a listserv that's based out of Pine Bluff, but has a significant presence in Little Rock. This Evite is being distributed 3 times a week as well. We also try to make sure that if they heard the advertising, they responded to the Evite when they landed on our website, that we had an updated slider. And that updated slider is just that piece of advertising real estate in the upper thirds of the website. And on that website, we specifically identified all the single trades that we're interested in having contractors participate in, and then we just simply gave them a call to action to go to that business with MHA on the business section of the website. Now, in that business section, we have all the bid documents housed in PDF format. We also have the RAD help desk phone number, where they'll also learn on the website and on the help desk that they can visit this facility here at MHA and a number of other satellite facilities across the city. If they still old school, they want to touch the documents, they want to look at the physical specimens, they can still do that. We then layered it once more with social media. We know that a lot of folks may hear it on the radio, may see it in their email network, or they may not be a part of those listservs, so they may not get the email. But we know in today's environment, social media is the 3rd place. Now, some folks may be on Instagram, some may be on Facebook, some may be on a number of the other platforms, from Twitter to TikTok to Pinterest, whatever the case may be. But the primary vehicles that we chose were Facebook and Instagram, and we developed Facebook Square, which we just feed, be displayed in the feed for those who can appreciate it as you swipe up in your Facebook profile. It's a square ad that pops up. But we also developed a story if you swipe to the left and look at moving pictures in the stores, you would see it there as well. We're excited about the activity thus far. We've already identified 11 contractors who've responded, and 8 of them were not in our database before. So we know the overwhelming majority of those contractors that are responding to this blitz would have never had a chance to participate in this effort. And we do also have some earned media support or free media support that's going to be coupled with this paid media effort. It's going to start with on-air radio interviews with Commissioner Anthony. I believe you should be getting a phone call from KIPR.
We recorded this morning.
You recorded this morning. I think the first is going to air, from my understanding, Monday the 20th on KIPR. The second is going to air on Thursday the 23rd on KOKY. So, and then it'll be rebroadcast that Saturday, what's that, the 26th on KOKY as well. Again, the reason why we like that Saturday, because KOKY is a blues formatted radio station, and their best day, contrary to most radio stations, which is during the week, their highest listenership in terms of days is Saturday, because they have all blues Saturday. So we want to make sure that it runs there, and we know if we go out on any of these job sites, if there is any, and I don't want to speak at 100%, I'm making some assumptions, but all the job sites that I've been on working with contractors over the last 15 years, if there's any significant African-American presence on the ground, KOKY is somewhere on the radio station. So we know that those contractors who are out in the market now are going to hear it. We know KIPR is going to perform quite well, and then we know that the other radio stations are going to continue to support as well. So we know that we've got that activity started on the 8th. It's going to run through the 24th. We'll still continue to have some additional earned media activities that's going to happen after that. But we hope to, in a perfect world, try to get anywhere between 20 to 25 contractors that weren't in our database to ensure as we potentially, and I'm speaking above my pay grade here because it's your call and board call, not mine, But as we potentially award contracts, we can be very deliberate to identify where single tradesmen can, again, participate in the progress. So are there any questions that I can answer at this point? Will I either award you to death or I did a really good job?
Well, I thought it was great that the first 11 had eight folk who were never in the process. So we're already
We're
headed,
roughly 75 to 80% of those who are responding now were never in the database and new contractors completely. And we feel comfortable that that's going to be a continued theme because the trades let folk know that if you're a plumber, we want you. If you know, if you do concrete work, we want you. And oftentimes, they're leery about responding because most of these general contractors already have their plumbers. They have their concrete folk. So now they know that there's a place for them as well. So we're excited about that. Any additional comments, questions? If not, thank you. Appreciate the opportunity, and we'll keep working hard. Today we'll be following up to make sure that the RAD Help Desk has got everything it needs in terms of continue to educate contractors about all the satellite locations. They can come see physical copies of the BA plans. All right.
I appreciate you, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Anything else, Dr. Finley?
No, sir.
Commissioner Anthony? Well, let me take that back. Because Ms. Center was supposed to have a spot on it before we got to us.
I'm sorry, what did you say, Chairman Warren?
I said Ms. Center was supposed to have a spot on it before it came to us.
Oh, okay.
I think she has a report.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Compliance
Usually
director.
comes out to Erica does.
But I think she said earlier she does not have a report.
Okay.
Yes. Okay.
Okay, from the employment committee, I think when we look at what has happened since the restructuring that began last year, that we have been successful in creating an organization that is more fit to move toward the direction that we're planning to go as far as rebranding MHA and some of the activities that it's going to take place. We're grateful. We've got a new IT director, Mr. Carlos Abbott. We've got a new property manager out at Sunset, and a new maintenance worker out at Sunset. So we're at capacity. For all practical purposes, we're at the capacity. We have on staff who we believe we need to move forward with the new design. And we've already met Mr. Rideout, and certainly his experience is exciting for the procurement department, because we know the questions that this board has had in the past about different measures that were or were not being taken place in the procurement department, since that's one of the areas that the board is responsible for setting policy. But when we look at everything that is taking place, conversation that's going on about the kiosks, the conversation that's going on about the new software, we're finally going to be delivered from the hellhole of 10 Mass to walk on the sweet sands of Yardy, and getting where we have a system that is more attuned to what we need to do. In all of this, we were able to even get some people promoted in-house. Tamara, who has worked in the finance department and done her due diligence over years, was able to move up to the director, and Alton was able to move up to senior accountant. So it had a little of everything in it. The restructuring so far that we had planned for, it moved people, and we can't forget about Miss Starling. We have an HR person for the first time in a long time. So, I mean, it's just exciting what we now have. We hadn't had compliance since I've been here, and now we have Deborah back in compliance. So all of these things says that we're trying to meet the requirements that HUD has given us in every area of what this organization should look like. So I think we're ready to move forward. I think that we're geared with the right people to take position and move MHA forward to do the future things that MHA plans to do from the employee aspect.
I really appreciate the
Diagram.
diagram. Is that, so I guess my question is, under the HCV, you said that there were how many people?
Seven.
7 people who are housing specialists?
Yes,
Or
sir.
That's what, these are the folks that we talked about that has the caseload and that sort of thing, right?
Yes, sir.
Now, do we have a team lead right now?
So right now, we do not, because our team lead,
Is working as the interim director.
Oh, okay.
yes. Now, she has retained some caseload, so she, because she has to.
Well-
But she's doing remarkable with some of the cleanup, administratively in the interim. So she's taken on some special duties, and so we don't have a team lead right now, though.
One of the things that we talked about in the old structure, that because of how the work flowed within Section 8, that team lead and the director should have a caseload. Because that was not taking place in the past. And that led to some of those larger numbers. We also talked about policies and procedures being available to all of the employees, with some of the making us great stuff that we talked about that we still need to make sure we follow up on as part of what we do down there. So part of that, I hope, will come out in your review
Yes.
of what is actually needed in that department.
Yes. And Commissioner Lindsay, you asked me a question, and I do need to make a small correction. So out of that 7, one of them does not have a caseload, because the way it's structured, this particular housing specialist process all of the incoming and all the portability. It does all the requests for tenancy. So one of the things that I've learned from when I first started here, when we were getting those numbers about the number of housing specialists, I was under the assumption that all of them had a caseload. But we had one of them, although was a housing specialist, didn't carry one because they scheduled inspections and they communicated with landlords. And then, of course, one of them processed all of the intakes, reports. So that is one of the things that this review will actually show us, how it's been structured, and will include recommendations of perhaps a better way. There's options of some PHAs, a caseworker will process everything from A to Z. I mean, they would do everything from their, incoming all the way to the entire process. There's pros and cons to both. So I'll present that in the review.
The other one was the maintenance. Where is that?
The maintenance, sunset.
Yeah, that's sunset. That's a
That's
sunset.
a sunset.
Yes, that is sunset.
And the property manager is at sunset.
Yeah, so I was just gonna say, in the maintenance, he's in the onboarding process, and the property manager will be at the next board meeting. Ms. Bailey.
Anything else?
I have one question, the property manager at Sunset and the person at Sunset. Once is this like the last one, or once it takes place?
The red.
Red.
Yeah.
Is that shoot? They
What
would
happened?
name
They
the
go
property
forward.
manager.
Yeah, they
Yes, they'll be enveloped
Yeah,
under
the
Gorman, and so
language.
they know that. We're very candid about that,
Mhm.
and they will become Gorman employees.
At least they did theirs on time.
Well, one of the things that throughout the process, Gorman is only gone, Sunset is only gone for 3 years.
3 years.
So they're going for 3 years.
3
So,
years in development.
and one of the things about our employees is that in our first negotiation, we saw protection for our employees, that nobody loses a job because of rate. And that has been the agreement we're moving forward.
But the point to what Commissioner Levy said, that 3 year, they want it out, okay?
Yeah.
That's why the duration is so short. They want it out, they didn't want to stay and manage, okay? And in fact, I think after stabilization, they relinquished their property management role and turned it over to CAC.
But
So,
history
they're
has,
trying to get in and out, that's all.
but history has taught us that the longer they manage, the longer they're responsible for the upkeep of the property.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay? And we learned a heck of a lesson when we had the situation at Madison and other properties.
Mhm.
That becomes a financial burden, and when we're dealing with developers, it's profitability, profitability, profitability. And they begin to lose some of that profitability the longer they stay in that management position. Because again, even in looking at the towers, we're concerned that they've been there since 2018 and what they're going to be looking like when they eventually flow back to the management of CAAC. Because, I mean, we're not talking about people who expend what we expend in maintenance or in replacement.
Right.
And where there is no strong maintenance, there's great deterioration. So we are mindful, and that comes back to Deborah and her compliance and her ability to see what shape the property is in coming back. So I can understand why they want out. It's feasible profit-wise
Right.
for them not to stay in the management.
Go to that next one.
Yeah. All right, anything else? Well, as far as technology is concerned, I think everybody knows that my biggest pet peeve is getting rid of all this paper. Okay? Well, my thing is, why don't we put all this on a PowerPoint, put it up on the board.
Yeah.
We all got electronic devices.
Yeah.
Put a link out there on the web, which is done. We got, click on it, about top here, we can see it here. But that's just moving going forward, and there would be some cost savings with that.
Yeah.
But we just have to sit down and do some type of strategic analysis as to how we want to use technology going forward. Okay? It's a tool in the tool belt. And if not used appropriately, it will do you no good. As if, killing a fly with a shotgun. And it's overkill. But underkill, you're not using it at all, and you're not even recognizing it. So, somehow to going forward, dealing with technology, paper, the analysis, improving processes, just to make things better for the agency. And I think we probably need to put out something on our website or something letting the residents know about the kiosks. Because they're probably going to ask, how do I do X, Y, Z? Where do I go X, Y, Z? Some type of tutorial.
Yes.
So it won't be a shock to them. But besides that, that's all I have.
Where exactly are the kiosks going to be located?
Where they are now, and it's right to the left of the elevator.
Because on days like this, I know the residents wish that they could get to a kiosk.
Yes.
It is hot out there.
Yeah, and that's why they're to the left of the elevator now. It is too hot out there.
Yes, it is.
To do any kind of
It
business.
is.
Yeah.
Make you change your mind.
Yeah, it does.
All right, that's all I had. Any questions? Commissioner Johnson?
As far as my report goes, we're getting centers in. I know right now they started yesterday at Compton Towers where we had like a health fair, people picking up ways to get health insurance, people to come in and help clean up the people that can't move around like they're supposed to. They're serving new phones. There's thing between T-Mobile and, between T-Mobile and some other phone company where they're getting unlimited minutes from, phone companies that used to come in, like the government phones that come in, they only give 250 minutes. These here, unlimited minutes, on requirement that you use the phone at least once every 2 or 3 weeks to keep your service going on. They're giving out pads, tablets, to people with the, already have the internet on them and everything, and at low cost. The qualifications is you have to be Medicaid, food stamps, or living in the high-rise. And so they started that yesterday. Today, the phones will be going out at the end of the day. And so,
I don't think so.
What?
The Connect program that's coming out of the city of Little Rock.
talking about Connect Homes. Connect Homes, the city,
That's the
no, this is another
That's the
company. Connect Homes is, they still providing the internet for high rises. The prices are still the same as it were when it first started. It's $9.95 a month, no tax. You pay $119 a year. Take care of it.
See, ACP, and we'll talk about that.
And Chairman, and I know that Director, you've been on the call, and one of the things that we have been in strong conversation is property management agreement with Gore. And so I can assure you, that's why we're seeing some of the stuff that hasn't been done in the past, is that we're putting in different verbiage pertaining to how they manage property that they're over. And so we know that in the past, none of that has been taking place, including the centers that should have been put in as far as the computers were concerned. So in our negotiation calls with the developers, we are negotiating the management, property management piece that will be enforced in the future in the dealings with those developers that come in to manage our property. We learned a lot from the ITEX in county and what happens when people come in to manage our property and there's no checks and balances. So since we learned better, we're trying to.
The computers, we have 4 computers that are up and running, and seeing a lot more action with the residents using the computers. It's like somebody in there every single day. And so that's a good thing too. We're still trying to get some people to come in and give simple classes like how to use smartphone, how to send texts out, stuff like that. And also giving computer classes, how to make your email and stuff like that. So there's been a lot of changes. I haven't been around yet to the other 2 high rises to see. I'm supposed to start making rounds around and just see if they're doing the same thing, trying to keep everybody on the same level. Other than that, that's my report.
It would be good to know if that's happening at the other towers.
Yeah,
As
I'm
we-
gonna get on that starting Monday. I'm gonna start at Terrace Towers and then go from Terrace Towers to
Wow.
Power Towers. But I've been keeping up with talking to Miss Brown over Sunset, and she lets me know everything that goes on over there. And she's got that burning question every time she asks me is when. I don't
Can't
know.
do nothing until I keep telling
Yeah.
you. You can't do nothing until the money's in the bank.
Exactly, that's why I keep telling her. I said, until it's in the bag.
Have we gotten that letter out, the residential letter that you and Myra were working with?
Well, no, I need Brian to review. I know he was on the last call, but it's on the tickler to review. The one with the notice that we have to do. Yeah. Our goal was the 15th.
I know, but that's what I had.
Again, Commissioner President.
Okay, I think that everything, once that we get into the mid-year review, we'll cover a lot of the issues that we have and we discussed.
have anybody from Gorman and the design group has spoken.
Yeah.
Benedicto,
So looks like we're at the resolution authorizing the executive director to enter into a contractual agreement for audit service.
I think we want to look at the mid-year review.
yeah, I would say you would take mid-year,
Oh,
or you want to go ahead?
The finance again, I got you.
Yeah.
Tamara, you're up. Ms. Donnelly?
Yeah, I think,
Utilize this technology, as you say. Do more PowerPoints. I think we're going to go back to more PowerPoints, and I can just send you guys electronic information.
That's not a Bluetooth screen, is it? Or TV? Because the Bluetooth I could require from my laptop.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Chairman Lowe, you're saying no more binders, we need to move
I
toward?
mean, if it was all on the central one of the servers, on my
Okay.
server,
Yeah, we can access the
we could
server.
access it, right?
Yeah, we
And
can
all
access the
one
server.
couldn't.
Okay.
Yeah, because we had trouble accessing the service
Mm-hmm.
when coming in, so we can access the server.
See, we wouldn't have all these paper.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm down for it. I thought y'all wanted these binders.
No, that's fine.
Okay.
okay.
And see, that's why I asked if that my TV was Bluetooth enabled.
Is it?
Yeah, we can check on
Is
that.
it-
If
it's not-
enabled, then we all
Unless you-
require it, right?
That's it.
Yeah, I got to look at it.
No, it's not Bluetooth.
Instead of having a
It's not-
laptop up there to do
Yeah.
Bluetooth enabled, you
It's not Bluetooth, because if it was Bluetooth, it'd be able to.
You pick it up.
Yeah, you can track it, right?
Yeah.
It automatically comes to phone, so I pick one up.
All right. So MHA's 2022 mid-year budget review presentation.
Should have brought my.
I need a clicker. I'm gonna order a
There it is.
clicker. Okay, just an introduction. We know it has fastly approached mid-year, and so now it's time for us to review the financials of MHA at a budgetary standpoint. We will also evaluate the impact of expenses not budgeted, but are now essential to enhance the efficiency of the agency. With an open mind, all MHA budgets, with the exception of the upcoming RAD project, Sunset Central and Stevens, are currently at a positive net income. And we all know the issue with Sunset Central and Stevens, so I did not do a mid-year for those three properties. All right, so let's review the numbers. Oh, you found one? Oh, great. Let's review the numbers for 2022, and I'm gonna go really fast because we've already talked about how we budgeted and where the money comes from and where the money goes. So for the HCV, we all know that the majority of the money comes from HAP subsidy, paying the landlords. And then we get admin subsidy for actually keeping record of all the cases. And there's some porting revenue that we get for sending residents to other housing authorities. I think I'm saying it right. And then there's interest from our bank accounts, just a small amount that we get. And then last is fraud collection for those tenants that don't report their income. So we don't really forecast getting a lot of money from that. And our expenses, they left off the bottom part, but anyway, the majority of our expenses, you got a copy of it, comes from, of course, we all know HAP expense. That's our biggest expense for the HCV department. And next is our administrative, paying our salaries, paying our utilities, and any kind of building maintenance that there may be. CLCC, we all know that their revenue is strictly from management fees, bookkeeping fees, some capital funds, investment, and other income. So guess what? Those bookkeeping and management fees, as those properties go away, it lessens the management, that's right. And that's where we are right now. So the expenses for CLCC, pretty much administrative. A little utilities for those properties that we own, because we are responsible for some utilities. Some. And a little maintenance for keeping the properties, like the lawn services, and some insurances, property insurance liability. NSP2, mainly rent and late fees. Expenses, there are some administrative, because we do allocate our maintenance and our management employees from this location as well. Tenant services, utilities, of course, maintenance, and insurances, property and liability. So now, this is where we are. Where do we stand mid-year? Are we going up or are we going down? We're kind of stagnant with the CLCC, but we get to the CLCC. Now here we are with revenue for HCV. And see, it cut it off. But the green is budgeted. We're pretty much where we budgeted. Admin, we get just a little bit more of admin revenue. Port in revenue, we didn't get much. And probably because we are not porting people out. We're absorbing. Because, you know, we need to utilize, and Ms. Jackson's not here to confirm.
But you know,
it.
that's part of the housing authority. Who pays that, okay? That's a negotiable piece with poured in and poured out. Because I know we've had the policy that the sending agencies, they're gonna pay, not us. So
Right.
that's gonna affect them, that budget amount as well.
Exactly.
But that's a negotiable piece, though.
That they, right, and maybe that's something that needs to be looked at, I'm not sure, but even the interest, we're pretty much where we need to be as far as gaining interest revenue. And as I told you, that fire collection, we don't really get much for that. We can budget and say, hey, this is what they owe us, but we know that we're not gonna collect much from that. Expenses, here we are. This is our piece right here, Ms. Commissioner Lindsay. Look at the salaries. This is what we budgeted. But look what we're expensing. We're doing really well there. We're not utilizing salaries or office expense, things of that nature. So we've been doing really good as far as watching how we spend in that line item. Utilities, we even budget a little more than what we're doing right now with utilities. So we're doing really good at that expense for ACV. Maintenance, there's not much maintenance anyway in the building. I think we did some elevator maintenance, just a few things. I think there's some things that's coming up though, that the building will need to, that we'll need to look at. Insurance, we're not utilizing, we didn't spend much of that as what we should be with budget. So we did good there, we're saving money. And of course, we know half expense because we need to lease up. So,
That's the key,
yeah, we gotta lease up.
So basically, we holding the line.
We're doing better than.
Well,
Yeah.
well,
We're good. We're
but,
good in ACV.
but,
We're doing better than those ones.
but, the top can blow off in a minute. It's just a matter of time.
Could have an anomaly.
Huh?
Yeah, we got.
Yeah, that's right. Unless we take some steps in order to address the issue that we see coming. I mean, it's,
Even bookkeeping fees from CAHC. This is May. Let's just keep in mind, this is May. Cap funds, we are still working with Rodney on those, so we'll be getting some of, just a few, not a whole lot of cap funds to replenish this line item. Rental income, this is mainly the satellites, like the towers. Because you guys remember, I only budgeted 6 months of actual rental revenue from 201. So we really, where we should be, close to where we should be from what I budget as of May. Now come July, this may go down because, I'm sorry, it's not gonna go down, it's gonna go up. The green is gonna go up if we don't start getting some rental revenue coming in. Other income, we hadn't got anything. A little investment off our bank accounts, because guess what? We don't have any money, so we don't get a lot of returns from those investments. Expenses. We're saving. We're not spending as much what we would be at this time of the month for May. And these are, I'm sorry. Insurance. That's what COCC mainly has, admin and insurance. And so I even budget a little bit more than what we're spending right now on our property and liability. NSP2, the rent, we're actually collecting a little bit more than what we should, but we need to collect more. And this is other late fees. Not much late fees has been collected. Expenses, administrative, it's where it should be. Utilities, of course, we can't control that with the properties. So we have incurred a little bit more expenses with utilities than what we budgeted. Maintenance, not much maintenance with the NSP2, so we hadn't expensed much on maintenance. Property insurance is where it should be. And when I book tenant services for NSP2, but I don't think we're really utilizing that. So that's something, we have a new property manager, so there may be something she wanna look at as far as expensing for the residents, I don't know, some type of future exercises or whatever she wanna do with that line item. All right, so now it's forecasting time. These are expenses that were not budgeted but now needed. And I did not include this in the forecast because the big amount that this capital expenditure would cost. She ain't in the wrong good. Okay, so this could be this will be a phased implementation. Some of the costs may continue into 2023 because we need a server, we need 3 servers and a managed switch. And you see the cost, $150,000. And that's essential. That server is at its last leg pretty much per IT.
Are they gonna be all RAD 3 servers? Sorry? Are they gonna be all RAD servers?
What does that mean?
That means redundant array.
Oh, okay,
independent devices.
all right.
You can
I got
swap
you.
in and out.
Okay.
So
I
are they
thought you
gonna
were
be
RAD.
Yeah.
I was in RAD, we going with
Yeah, that's
I know, I get it, okay.
Are they gonna be RAID servers?
Yeah.
Yes, sir, they are.
Well, RAID 3 or RAID 5? Because the higher you go up, the more expensive it's gonna be.
Grade 5 at a minimum.
Okay. That's most expensive.
But,
Grade 10.
Well, we ain't planning on going to RAID 10.
But it's the
No,
most
sir,
expensive.
grade 5.
Yeah,
And those 2 managed switches is to help alleviate some of the issues that we're having in-house now. And for some things that and just so we can deal with some of our phone issues and things of that nature.
Are they gonna be all 24 ports?
Well, the 2 will be 48 ports apiece.
Okay, 48 ports.
And with that, we can control traffic and create the VLANs to help expedite things and keep traffic down to a minimum. And with that, we wouldn't purchase all 3 servers at once. We'll do one and
Maybe
one server we have to.
that's what you were saying about going into FY
Yeah,
'23, you
yeah,
said
some
all of this is not,
All at once.
All at once.
Maybe once a quarter. Maybe-
okay, well, just, 2 quarters left, so.
No, I mean, it's going forward.
Yeah.
Give us a chance to get some revenue stream coming in.
So how are we doing on, hard drive storage?
Yeah. See what,
Not for the
So how are we doing on storage?
for the 3 servers. We'll discuss it. It's not implemented in the budget right now.
Wait a minute, talk to me, I'm sorry, I had to take that one, but,
You want to know the justification? Okay.
Our servers are getting older,
Thank you.
and they're not keeping up with the capacity and the standards that are coming out in IT. That's why the need for the upgrade.
We're talking
And we
about,
have some of your tenants.
See, we still got our old legacy system with folks we've had since they were on Wood Street.
well, we got to switch.
Right.
We got to switch.
Hmm?
What, didn't we just pay for a switch for CAAC?
Yeah, CSC, but this is what they did.
Right, and the property and the tenants and Section 8 and,
Yeah, that's what
you
they
know, we gotta store all of your tenants still here at MHA.
Yeah, because they own the Section 8 program,
That's
that's why.
They have a
right.
voucher.
That's
That's
right.
right, that's the justification.
That's right. See, we got folks in our old legacy
Yeah.
system that have been on that for 21 years.
Well, if we're both
But-
on yarding, if we're
Well,
both
I
on
mean,
yarding,
that would be
there's some
portable.
shared, there's some
Right.
shared costs.
Right.
That's
what I'm
what
saying.
no, I'm saying, if they're both on yarding, we're paying for our own yarding system.
Right.
Okay? So we will have access, and you will have access via what we're already spending in the system with yarding. Okay?
So when you say ain't no cost associated with
There's
that
no cost for, up from our side of it,
from CHAC
no,
side?
because they can get access by virtue of the fact that we're both installed in yard. I would love to see what justification that is. And you know how I feel about folks spending our money.
Yeah,
So I
but-
definitely-
but
Well, that's
this
the
is-
cost.
This is MHA's cost.
Yeah.
But it's also about CAAC's
Yeah,
approval.
we may need some, yeah.
Well,
So-
but see, even with the technology, that should be somewhat I call remoting in and remoting out and portability of data.
I know, I understand the concept. But
Well,
I'm telling you,
she
I'm
said-
also aware of how yarding works.
Of course.
So, and there is, and I know with all the, we're having to pay, what is it, for the training, and I think it's like, it's a large amount, so I'm not sure what you're asking for is justified with us having yarding and you having yarding. So, we'll see. I know y'all always got your hands in our pocket, but
Well, it's not-
Now,
we'll
It's
see.
a planning stage, that's all it is.
It's a what?
It's-
Like I said, justification for cost.
It is,
It's-
and we're gonna
it's-
revisit this.
Right.
I'm just throwing it out here of what we need, so
Right.
it
Cost
won't be
not
a
to
sticker shock.
exceed, now, what's the full amount? Now, cost not to exceed what?
This is for,
Well, it's
HCD.
estimated about 150,000.
That's under, but that's, cause it's cut off.
Yeah.
This is another need that's not budgeted.
Right.
We need one HCV vehicle for the inspections department. Cost not to exceed 25,000.
That's just
That's
an
HCC.
estimate, that's all. That's just
I'm into
estimate.
the pipe. Now, I did include that in HCV's budget, how would it affect their bottom line? Because those trucks are.
What it is,
Yeah. Storage, how are we doing on storage?
Storage-wise, we're okay for
I
the
mean,
moment.
but
The
that,
issue,
but that.
we're okay for storage-wise.
Mhm.
The issue is, once upon a time, we had 3 servers.
Right,
2 servers completely died.
right.
So we're on our last leg. If that server dies,
Yeah.
everyone is dead in the water.
Correct.
Because we haven't transported anything to yard or anything to public transport
Is
yet.
there a backup? Do we have a backup to what's in it? And I mean, if the backup can be a disk that is stored somewhere else, I'm
Well,
asking,
that's
is
why it's
there a
supposed to
backup?
be rate compliant, because if one of those
That's
hard
what
drives
I'm
goes
saying.
down, you can just swap it in, swap it out. You don't lose any data because it has striping in it, which does automatic backups online, and you don't see it, but it would save on that recovery, okay? Just swap one hard drive in for another.
Yeah, but the thing is
that right?
that it's usually,
That's what saved us.
okay.
Mm-hmm.
The issue that I'm very concerned about, we are on the battery backup.
Okay.
But if this building was to lose power, or lightning hit it, or whatever,
Mhm.
if that battery backup can't absorb it, then we do lose everything.
Okay.
And that's how we lost the previous 2 servers.
okay.
How long was that for, 2 hours?
No, sir, like 17 minutes.
Wow. We don't have APC stores?
We do, and that's why I had a software installed with Parachute.
Right.
And it would tell the server to shut itself down.
Okay.
So just the.
But I'm saying that's an upgrade within itself. We need to have at least a minimum of 2-hour storage capability in the event that power goes out. At least 2 hours.
Yes, 15 minutes.
Okay.
Okay.
So,
Not to mention, you know, we do keep like your employee files,
Mhm.
But you
personnel
won't have to,
files.
but you won't have to. We are moving into our own system. You will
we're
not.
talking about two different things now. Yeah, two different
Just let me tell you,
things.
we're not talking to you.
Yeah.
No, she keeps
I'm
saying,
bringing it
no,
up.
no,
I'm
no,
bringing
she
it up.
keeps
You
saying.
don't,
I'm justifying the cost.
they have their budget,
Right.
MHA has his budget.
And this is a cost that's in
I know they have
MHA's
their own
budget.
budget, but I'm
Right.
just saying allocation of the.
Allocation of costs.
That's what I'm just
Then
talking
why would our
about.
service have to be allocated cost to them? I mean, explain that to me.
We are establishing our own
That's what I'm
and
saying.
separating
Right.
from you in your
Right.
network.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
I mean, that's what we doing.
And I'm saying, why would there need to be an allocated cost to you of MHA stuff?
Didn't I just ask?
Yeah, that's what I'm asking.
I don't know.
And
I
you,
would did get to that in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay?
Because I
Because
just
see,
wanna-
even with the external storage, we have a data retention policy of 7 years. We have to keep it. We gotta put it somewhere. And since we talk about getting rid of paper,
is that right?
we need
Okay.
to go to either a solid state hard drive, to back the stuff off, to dump it off. We got to do it.
But what I'm saying is, and Carlos, and I know most of the folks who just came on board are not aware that CAAC is a separate entity from MHA. There is and has been in the past
Right.
a mechanism for us to have to share some things.
Right.
CAAC has installed its own switch at its own location.
Got two of them.
And say that. So we are pulling our stuff, our finances and whatever else in the design of our own system away from MHA.
so what does that leave MHA with the requirement to have?
Well, they got to have that data retention, because
Okay.
we're legally obligated to do so.
That's what,
We've
okay.
got to have enough storage space to do the daily processing of the number amount of vouchers that we do. And then thirdly, we've got to have a space out there to, some computer systems, the operating systems use the hard drives as cash, meaning transferring the data. All those three things have to be put into play. And we got to have the equipment to do it.
So what I'm saying is, there's got to be some conversations and planning as to how we split
Yeah.
in this whole situation, from the financial, even,
And
we're,
now-
as part of our situation, our finance director is going to design for us how we deal with everything financial. Because we are not MHA.
Yeah, that's
We
what
are
I'm-
not a part of the MHA rules and requests.
Right.
Separate entity. So that's why I'm saying clarity. As we move away and begin to look at how MHA moves forward, as soon as hopefully July, a lot of what is stored here won't be stored here. It'll be stored on our own switch.
So let me ask you, have you looked at a potential storage array hard drive, or do we need a SAN hard drive?
We do, but I'm also started doing research for backing it up in the cloud, so if something
Mhm.
happened to the building, we can pick up somewhere else and never miss a beat.
Now, you know, the cloud only goes with that machine and capabilities that the machine has.
Yes.
Meaning the resources on that machine, the cloud pulls from.
Yes.
So if ain't enough memory, ain't enough hard drive space, ain't enough cache, virtualization will be like a snail. Meaning the cloud will be, it'll be slow to get the stuff. So in doing that going forward, what needs are you trying to address as far as cost allocation? Big equipment, you know, that's why I asked about the storage array of network, hard drive.
One of the biggest concerns is retaining the data that we had before, because we are legally obligated to take care of that.
Right.
The three services to keep that and keep the data moving forward, because our servers do back up our Office 365 documents that's in the cloud, and we also have it in-house. The already moving forward would take the place of Tinman, so there's no need to house that here on site. The main thing is the HCP server, so we can log into everything that we need to log into. We already
With DHCP on his own server?
It's It's not at the moment.
Okay. That's the main host protocol.
But see,
Translate
It's-
the job.
it's-
We won't be on MHA's email. So, I mean, we got costs, and so we need to, we see the costs.
And
The full cost.
Okay.
To see the full cost.
Yeah.
So
You
we'll
see
get
the
back
I'll
with you
have
on
a-
how.
Yeah, and we'll discuss.
Come on. We kind of get to it.
And you know, come on back.
That's another sidebar.
We ain't doing
Another sidebar. Okay, so this is the forecast. If we were to get this vehicle for the inspections department, and we continue revenue flowing as it is as of May, and be consistent on our expenses throughout the duration of 2022, we are looking at an estimated bottom line of a positive net income to the HCB department of $484,092. So this does not include part of that 150. So that kind of gives us an insight of, okay, let's see where the cost can be allocated. So we know that they have the money to cover, along with other expenses that may happen later on. And this is the CLCC projected income. All right,
Yeah.
so this is the thing that we're missing, is the $30,000. What if we don't get that 30,000
What the,
from rental income that we have projected for maybe 201 or whatever we plan to do? And that's the income statement if we do not get it. This is if we get it, this is if we do not. If we receive the, because I'm being realistic, I don't want to say go get all this money and we already halfway here. If we receive the 30, I'm projecting 22,829 as a bottom. That's positive, but that's not really that good, y'all, at the end of the
I
year.
agree.
Why wouldn't we get that money?
Are we gonna make Harmony Health pay us?
We can.
Okay.
Well, this is the whole purpose of asking for this.
Mhm.
Well,
So we know exactly what that relationship has been.
Mhm.
For a lot of us, this is the first time I've seen it.
yeah.
What the-
And the lease, because in past history, nobody could find it for us. So now we got the lease, and we can actually explore legally
Okay.
what we can do with Harmony. And I would dare say that we would deal with more than $30,000.
Yeah, because you're talking at least that building gotta be worth at least, what, 5, maybe 6,000 a month? That's a pretty big building.
Well, I mean, if you sold it, we talking about.
Oh, you talking about?
I said,
talking about.
if we sold the property.
Oh, you talking about selling, we'll get way more than 30.
Yes, sir, yes, sir, so we thinking in color 65-inch.
Oh, okay.
So, so we're talking about a whole lot more than that
Okay,
in that
yeah,
place.
if we
Yeah,
sell
that's why I
it,
think
that's,
what-
you're absolutely right, you're absolutely right. So that's if we sell.
But if we don't,
If we don't sell, and if we don't get a dime of rental revenue, we're gonna be in the hole.
$15,000.
Yep.
yeah.
I mean, what I'm trying to see, the rental revenue, are you also considering the revenue from the cellular tower?
Yeah, that's not a whole lot of money though.
On the sale of the property down in St. John too, right?
Mm-hmm. That's what
Yeah,
we're
that's on that
on
real
the
estate.
real estate.
See, that's
That's
so,
more
that's more,
revenue.
so I think there's something to be visited with on that part,
Yeah.
as well as far as.
Some
other-
options.
Yeah,
Okay, well, that's good.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
said
Let's see,
stay,
not
so
only
that
that,
you guys
not only
stay
that,
on.
certain
That's
strips
all right.
of land that we can't sell,
Say what now?
certain strips of land that we can't sell, we take it off on the taxes. You know what the old dog pound is?
Yeah.
We own, a strip of land over there, I mean, MHA does, right by Swaggity Branch, but we ain't gonna do nothing with it.
But, you know, there are some folks who use some of that stuff, put signs on
Right,
and stuff.
right.
So, I mean, that, what we've tried to do in the past with procurement is to get them to look at what we have
can we do?
and what is not being utilized, and whether or not it can
We
be
can make
solved
some money.
using
Yes.
with legal.
Yes.
So, and I mean, that's been a
Yeah.
conversation for years. On
Yeah,
other pieces that we have.
cooperation with Reynolds, maybe, have some electronic billboards put up, and that's potential
Revenue.
for revenue, so I mean, we got convention.
Yeah, that's right.
But I'm saying there's a lot of out-of-the-box stuff that we've talked about in the past. And this is why I asked for a strategic plan.
Mm-hmm.
We hear your projections, and we hear what might be, but it does not contain all that could be.
That's right.
Okay,
This is
so,
strictly
So now we're
policy
adding
sense,
on
we
what
got.
could be.
so we definitely need to talk.
So the St. John's, are we,
That's.
We're
We're waiting on real estate person, we're waiting on real estate person so that can be
An
executed.
offer has been made.
Yep.
Contract has been signed.
Yep,
So we just waiting on real estate first.
yep.
They called us next week. We
Yeah.
got one more person.
okay,
Yes.
well, good, that's good, okay, that's good to know.
But I would also say that as part of the projections, and I don't know, as part of the forecasting, is that there has to be some out-of-the-box creation here too.
Yeah, no.
HUD's issues Novas every day. Novas, these are opportunities, they're grants, these are opportunities for us to do some grant writing, to obtain, so this is how other housing departments, housing agencies are surviving once they turn to RAD. The whole issue of RAD with the assets going to another entity, mainly CAAC, is a reinventing of yourself, MHA, and the services that you provide. You cannot stay where, it ain't no more cheese in that corner. You gotta go find some new cheese. So this is what we have been saying in a strategic planning. You got to start looking at new avenues for income streams.
Yes.
And they're out there, we are just not embracing them. And I know it's uncomfortable in some instances when you've been used to HUD sending that check, but that's not gonna be the case anymore. Your resources are dwindling away and you've been pushed into a new way of doing business. And there are too many avenues and partnerships out there to be done. This week, I'm visiting, not this week, next week, I'm visiting with healthcare providers because they do health and housing. And there's money there, so we're beating the bushes every chance we get to find new jobs. And that has to be the attitude of MHA moving forward. And it's not just a job for the director. It is a job for all the staff in moving forward. Because all of you are friends.
What we have here, though, this is strictly the dollars and cents of the situation, looking at it from the finance side. And that with the knowledge that you have about the income that's coming in,
That's it.
that other thing part is what we have.
Everything that Commissioner Anthony has said, it is not executable without looking at the piece that you're asking for.
And it's there, and it's easy to access. We've done, even if it's the building of new relationship with financial institution, it's not always how much money you got in your pocket, but how much money do you have access to. And it's just thinking a new way and working in a new way as to how you bring money into the agency.
So do you know the appraisal for those 201 and the other building? Has it been appraised?
Again,
The building, we got an appraisal on the property on St. John's.
Yeah.
But I don't think we've got an appraisal on the property at
201 yet?
Nope.
what was the?
But it's workable.
What, the selling price, I don't want to, I'd rather not say.
Well, one of the things-
Property in progress.
Well, one of the things you can do, AEDD is right next door. So you can look at the appraisal of AEDD on the
Right.
county records.
Yeah,
On the county
it's
records.
kind of the same.
And they right
That's
there
the
next
way
door
we
to each
come up
other.
with, yeah.
And you, in your ballpark or what ballpark figure of what that property is worth. Because AEDD
Yeah, they
is
made,
right
they
next
made us
door.
an offer and we.
This, you talking about,
Come on, good night.
yeah, you talking about
Harmony.
Harmony Road, two different, yeah, okay, all right. But anyway it goes, there is some some positive things that come out.
Well, good.
In conclusion,
In conclusion, although the departments are currently operating at a positive income, there is still the need for strategic planning to enhance the financial structure of MHA. And some examples, we all have beat this horse down,
Yeah.
is creating ongoing revenue sources for the central office cost center. But now you all have enlightened me that yes, there are options to increase it. Not so much as a revenue stream, but to at least gain more revenue, to replenish the bottom line. And ensuring that rent collections are at the maximum percentage each month.
and that's another issue.
The NSB2, we have got to collect the rent, but we have a property manager
Yeah.
currently, so that should all change. And then last, for the ACV, have lease up, and this will increase administrative fees. So that 484,000 could double or close to it, because we want as much money in savings as possible. So that's all I have. Y'all have any more?
I would ask, Director Chairman, that a strategic planning meeting be scheduled to pull apart even how we are going to make it through the end of the month if the deal closes, if there's even going to be any available capital fund after August when this closes with sunset. There are several questions about the finances after August and what kind of bridge gap do we have to do between now and the end of the year.
Are you asking if there would be a balance of capital funds for?
Balance of capital funds or any other monies that will come in attachment to the properties that we're going to be transferring.
Well, I don't know if it was a capital.
If it's still in our pocket and we
Yeah,
get
we
not
should have a balance
obligated.
of capital,
Yes,
even
sir,
after,
you
yeah,
can.
after we got through the grad, those funds can still be used for any capital needs.
If it's within a 5-year plan, you know it's got to be in that 5-year plan. also.
Yeah.
We still operate under the
Yeah,
five-year
I mean,
plan.
that's a amendable.
Still operate under five-year plan.
I know we did, Sunset Red was, we'll have to look at that.
Yeah.
Just to make sure. Any questions? Comments? Chairman Lindsay? Commissioner Lindsay, I'm sorry.
We'll have a work session.
Yeah, we got that work session.
Yeah, I think so. Okay.
Thank you, Tamara.
Thank you, Benedicto.
All right, we're ready for this resolution. That will be Resolution 2022-05-6832. Resolution authorizing the executive director to enter into a contractual agreement for audit service, of course, that is BKD. And that's the only resolution on our agenda today, and you have a copy of it in your binder in the tab under resolutions.
Motion to approve the stated resolution as written.
Second.
Been moved and properly second, considering the resolution school 2022-05-6832. Motion for the adoption, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? None. Resolution has passed. Is there a need for an executive session?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Open for discussion. Before the vote comes, that's why I said that. A lot of people don't know the needs of the residents out of CAC and the work that Commissioner Anthony and the staff has done out there in providing food for our seniors. So I want to put that out in the public foray, because a lot of people don't realize that and want to give her, get out of here, girl.
We are at Granite Mountain today, feeding our seniors and our disabled. So we changed it from being at Madison, and we got calls because people want to know where their box was. But we'll be back in Madison. We invite you guys to come out next Thursday and help us with our residents. It has become an asset to them. It helps them make it to the next month. It is healthy food. And it's something that we take from the profits that we could be putting in our pocket, and we put back into the community. We have also been approached, we had Vacation Bible School with St. Mark Church being on our property with our kids last Tuesday and Thursday. And we had more than 60 kids that showed up to be out on the lawn with St. Mark. We get outreach every day from folk around us to work with our children and with our adults. We are in the process of planning a resource fair for the children and for their parents, hopefully as part of the back-to-school event at Madison. And we are still working with the police to keep people safe.
If nothing further, all in favor for the resolution, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed, none. Motion passes. No need for executive session?
No.
Motion to adjourn?
Yes, second.
Motion to adjourn.
Then move to the proper second and we adjourn. All in favor, please say aye.
And in case y'all did not see Ms. Sharita, Ms. Sharita is the junior property manager at Madison.
We are adjourned.